Alright, we got, but I start off all the vids, or most all the vids like that. Niggas could tell who the fuck, you know what I'm saying? We FTC over here. We support FTC. I be watching too much flight reactions. I gotta get my own swag. Anyways, your favorite movies are CIA propaganda. Now, in the thumbnail, y'all see, this shit got SpongeBob and some more shit up in here. Now, I know the CIA been working overtime.
There's a version.
Whoa, come on. Let me talk first, twin. Let me talk. That's rude of you to just start talking while a real nigga like me talking. Relax. As I was saying. Fuck, I forgot what I was saying because this nigga just interrupted me, bro. Fuck it. Go ahead, play the video. Go ahead, talk, bro. Since what you had to say was so important and more important what the fuck I had to say, let's go.
There's a version of your favorite films and TV shows that you weren't allowed to see. Scripts were rewritten, scenes were cut, endings were changed, and characters were altered.
They had stamped top secret on the top and the bottom and the sides in the margins of every single page. And I said, guys, this is not top secret. This is a Hollywood movie. It's already on video. It's done.
I'm talking children's animations with rewritten endings, comedy films you've never heard of with deleted scenes, superhero.
I know I ain't tripping.
Franchises built in secretive contracts, and a screenwriter who tried to tell the wrong story and was found dead with both hands missing.
It's not an accident that every Hollywood movie about the CIA is pro-CIA.
This has been running since the 1940s. What started with Walt Disney producing propaganda shorts for the military has now evolved into a formal permanent operation, one that now reaches into the biggest franchises on the planet, and it hasn't stopped expanding.
But you know what's crazy? I heard that nigga Walt Disney didn't like black niggas. On GT, allegedly. I don't know, obviously. I don't have no proof. But I heard that on TikTok. This nigga Walt Disney didn't even like black niggas. Allegedly. That shit crazy. No. It wasn't Walt Disney. I'm tripping. Walt Disney. I know you know what I'm saying, frozen 100 years frozen. Look, my fault. It was Dr. Seuss. My fault, Walt. My fault.
One that now reaches into the biggest franchises on the planet, and it hasn't stopped expanding from there. When John Kiriakou, a CEI whistleblower who went to prison for exposing the torture program, was asked on the Diary of a CEO how the agency would hypothetically design an influence campaign, this was his answer.
You would have to have a goal that would be specific enough that you could actually track the progress to it. It has to be a message. You've got to be able to get a specific, well-honed message out there. And the message can be anything. It could be, love the CIA, we're the good guys. It could be support the overthrow of the Iranian government. It could be, any criticism of Benjamin Netanyahu is anti-Semitism. It could be anything you want it to be.
Oh, this nigga going deep with it. Hey, listen, I'm gonna go ahead and say it now. I don't want no smoke. I don't want the black trucks outside the crib while I'm trying to go to work. You feel what I'm saying? Let me slide. I'm just a reactor.
You just have to make sure that it's repeated enough.
He mentions a couple of things there that are highly relevant right now. Take Argo, an Oscar-winning film that almost everyone has heard of. The plot follows a CIA officer who poses as a Hollywood producer to smuggle 6 American diplomats out of Iran, all during the 1979 hostage crisis. As you can imagine, the CIA is unambiguously the hero. There's barely a single mention of the CIA's overthrow of Iran's democratically elected government, or the installing of a dictator who ruled with a secret police force trained by the CIA. And given the current conflict in Iran, you could reasonably argue that the public's understanding of who Iran is and how we got there was influenced in part by films exactly like this. During filming, Affleck visited CIA headquarters multiple times, sat in round tables in the director's conference room, and even emailed the agency promising to do the agency proud.
That nigga was slid some bread for the promo. Listen, CIA, if you watching this, nigga, you slide me, Casey Bancroft, nigga. What? We can throw some CIA propaganda up in the screens, nigga. Come on, let a nigga eat. You feel what I'm saying? Let that nigga eat.
CIA had actually been promoting the Argo operation as a suggested movie plot on their own website years before the film was made, and even thanked Affleck publicly on Twitter for the film. Affleck said this when interviewed as part of the press tour.
Are there many actors in Hollywood who also moonlight as agents, do you think?
I think there are probably quite a few, yes. I think probably Hollywood is full of CIA agents, and we just don't know it.
But Argo's only the surface.
Nigga, you know.
And you'll be shocked about where exactly the strategy operates in Hollywood, the films it touches, and how smart it truly is. Take the original script for The Hulk. The canon storyline, as per the comic, involved Bruce Banner being transformed after a US military program gone wrong. It also included dialogue referencing Operation Ranch Hand, a real program that sprayed roughly 20 million gallons of chemical herbicides, including Agent Orange over Southeast Asia, poisoning a possible 4 million people. Both details were removed purposefully by CIA advisors. This is according to leaked files seen by The Conversation. They then changed the origin story to a lab experiment gone wrong instead because they couldn't risk anti-government sentiment in a franchise of this size. In the Transformers films, a Pentagon liaison inserted specific dialogue instead of removing it. In one scene just after American troops had been attacked by a deception robot, he added the line "bring him home" to reinforce US military values. Numerous superhero films, including practically the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is the single biggest franchise in history, were all built on this from the ground up. Captain Marvel was granted full Air Force support. The Air Force was advertising the film on social media before Marvel had even started marketing it.
Oh, these niggas is sliding the biggest fucking bag of century. I know they ain't doing that for cheap. Marvel is over here sliding big bankroll. They slide big bankroll to the Air Force. I mean, but like, I'm not really understanding so far what's the bad thing about this, though. It's just promo. You feel me? These fucking AIs on my damn chat. It's just promo. I don't see, like... Okay, this is my personal opinion about this. I see it as... Because I guess propaganda could be good propaganda and bad propaganda. I think it's only bad when they're A, telling a lie, or B, like twisting a story to be in their favor. If it's just like propaganda that's like promoting, you know what I'm saying, niggas go to the army, like, okay, that's not too bad to a certain extent, as long as it's not like pasted all over the movie, go to the army, go to the army, go to the army. I don't feel like that's bad. I'm not gonna lie. Like, this is like, you know what I'm saying, nothing crazy so far.
Captain Marvel and Black Panther were both used directly in recruitment campaigns.
Wakanda?
The result was a documented spike in female applicants to the Air Force Academy.
See?
They
this
literally called it the Captain Marvel
This is
effect.
not bad at all.
On Iron Man, which was massively supported by the Pentagon with $1 billion worth of equipment.
You mean the niggas that failed to pay their taxes 8 years in a row? Yeah, we know about that. We know about that. It's public news. Pay them taxes.
There were literally fights on set between the directors and the agency. A Pentagon liaison, Phil Straub, objected to a line in which a military character says, "People would kill themselves for the opportunities I have." The director, John, pushed back, and soon, they were standing on the flight lines at Edwards Air Force Base with 200 crew watching. They eventually settled on they'd walk over hot coals, but even then, that didn't make the final cut. But a much weirder example is Meet the Parents, when Ben Stiller's character walks into Robert De Niro's workplace. In the original script, he finds CIA torture manuals. That was rewritten. Now he finds photos of De Niro meeting Bill Clinton. IMDb credits Chase Brandon as a technical advisor and Milt Bearden as consultant CIA on the film, which you can see here. These examples just cover what we know for certain from a leak of 60,000 pages of documents, which confirmed the CIA has been involved in more than 2,500 productions in total. The Pentagon runs something called the Entertainment Media Office, a formal liaison operation that works directly with Hollywood studios. They support studios financially, offer advice on sensitive topics, and lend them specialist equipment and prime filming locations. In exchange for permissions, the CIA get to read and approve the script before a single frame is shot. They also have complete veto power, and directors are obliged to follow their word. One Pentagon minder said on record, "If they don't do what I say, I take my toys and go away."
And that is a 360 deal of doom. So basically, if your big bro don't like nothing about that script, what if it's like biased though to a standpoint? Like, you feel me, chat? Like, if I feel like it has to have reasoning as to why they don't like it or they're trying to change it. If it's just simply like what I said earlier, to just create a fucking lie, then that's like kind of like, you feel me? That's like, okay, what are we doing here? At the end of the day, it's literally a movie, my nigga. If movies is fake like y'all say they is, then like it shouldn't matter. I mean, to a certain extent. Like when he said earlier about people would delete their GTA characters, if you get what I'm saying, to get the opportunity, I can see that, because you don't want a negative, you know what I'm saying, cognition around W fucking vocabulary words behind joining the Air Force or any part of the, you know what I'm saying. I can see that, but just simple shit, no, bro. The simple shit, they just tripping, bro.
A declassified CIA document released in 2019 all but confirms that, logging dozens of meetings between the CIA's Office of Public Affairs and executives from NBC, Time Warner, Viacom, Fox, Paramount, and CAA. The document covers just 2 years, from 2014 to 2016. It includes lunches, development deals on campus filming approvals, and meetings to develop CIA-themed TV shows. The CIA has always claimed it merely answers requests on an as-needed basis. The document shows active outreach. The agency is going to the studios, not the other way around. But you have to stretch back much further to find out when this all began. Because when one of George Orwell's most important works was adapted into a movie, the CIA had the final say over its closing moments. That film is Animal Farm, a classic anti-establishment story about rebelling against power. After Orwell died, the film's rights to Animal Farm were purchased by 2 men, and both were undercover CIA agents. This was in 1954, the height of the Cold War and the Red Scare, when the fear of communism was at its peak. The CIA funded the entire animation. They hired British animators, deliberately avoiding American studios to create distance, and because the agency distrusted Hollywood animators during the Red Scare, and they rewrote the ending. In Orwell's book, the animals look through the farmhouse window and can't tell the pigs from the humans. The line says, quote, "The creatures outside looked from pig to man, and from pig to man, and from pig to man again, but already it was impossible to say which was which." This is the whole point. Revolution replaces one set of oppressors with another. Capitalism and communism are equally corrupt. The CIA couldn't have that message going out, so their version ends with the animals triumphantly overthrowing the pigs in a second revolution. Communism bad, rebellion good, America wins by implication. See, watch how they storm the building and how it doesn't imply the same message as the book at all. It's subtle, but the new version reinforces the division between good and bad. It creates a moral precedent that corrupt systems can be overthrown and replaced with something better, which is a really comforting thought, unless you realize it's exactly the story the CIA tells every time it topples a government. Orwell's ending says the opposite, that power corrupts regardless of who holds it, and that revolution just replaces one set of oppressors with another. The director Joy Batchelor strongly opposed the change, so the CIA threatened to pull financing. The intelligence officer E. Howard Hunt, who later became involved in the Watergate scandal, said the film was, quote, "carefully tweaked to heighten the anti-communist message." Although it was originally aimed at adults, Animal Farm found its primary audience in school over the US and Europe. By then, the state and media were already deeply intertwined. Governments had correctly identified that the media was the best way to access the minds of the public. Generations of children were shown a CIA-funded film with a CIA rewritten ending, as if this was a faithful adaptation of Orwell. So you may not be surprised to learn that Disney was the testing ground for how effective propaganda could be.
I'm not surprised,
While it
bro.
might be hard to believe today, Disney was actually going broke, and the government offered it a deal. They accepted, and within 2 years, over 90% of Disney's output, mostly propaganda, was government content. Disney characters found their way into all sorts of government materials, including 1,200 military insignia. Walt Disney even personally designed this terrifying Mickey Mouse gas mask, all to make children less afraid during air raids. If you look at Disney films through the ages, like Snow White, The Incredibles, and Frozen, they're often said to carry some level of deliberate messaging.
Okay.
In a conversation between Theo Von and Robert Greene, the guy who wrote the 48 Laws of Power, Greene said they offer a singular worldview that runs through most Western mainstream media. While modern society came to describe this phenomena as woke, the more important aspect is the consent it manufactures.
And what angered me about Hollywood, people pretending to be these liberal, wonderful people in favor of all the best causes out there to create art. What bullshit. They wanted power. They loved having the power over people. They would drop the woke stuff tomorrow if they could make more money doing something else. It's just about what's going to bring the bucks in.
Someone upstream decides what the acceptable worldview is, and the media is passed accordingly. The Pentagon did it with military values. The CIA did it with anti-communism. Hollywood does it now with whatever sells. The product always looks like entertainment and not ideology. These are films watched by billions, not just in the West, but worldwide. So this is also a matter of the image the world superpowers want to project.
Yo, no Diddy. Appreciate it though. No Diddy. No Diddy.
Power has always mattered enormously to the West. Huge military, invincible superheroes, perfect moral values, intelligence agencies that can do anything they please and always win. Now, you might be wondering what happens if someone breaks ranks and goes against the grain. Whether it's possible to subvert the CIA.
Honestly, bro, I'm guessing, this is just a wild guess. If the director or whoever makes the script goes against the CIA, you feel me? If they go against the CIA shit, them boys are being taken off the face of the earth in GTA. I'm not gonna lie, that's my estimate, bro. I wouldn't be fucking surprised, honestly, bro. You get silenced if you don't abide by the GTA rules and regulations.
CIA and inform the public of the truth. Well, there has been at least one occasion when someone tried to do exactly that. He was Gary DeVore, a Hollywood screenwriter with major credits on Schwarzenegger's Raw Deal, Christopher Walken's The Dog of War, and Backroads with Tommy Lee Jones and Sally Field. He was deep into a script idea that even his own wife didn't fully understand until after he was gone.
When I first moved in with Gary, he said to me, "Don't be alarmed if you get a call from a person from a government agency. Just take their name down and their number and don't be worried about it." In the first 4 years, there were 2 calls. And then, not too long before he actually disappeared, there were several from the CIA at Langley.
It was called The Big Steal, set during the US invasion of Panama. A friend of his, Hollywood director John Irvin, had lunch with Gary a few weeks before he disappeared. He could tell that something was off.
He was troubled. Something was...
No way. I thought his man's backdoored him.
He wasn't really in the conversation. He was having trouble with the script he was writing. And she talked more about not the script, but about a government very, very sensitive, inconvenient truth. He was speaking more as a journalist than he was as a screenwriter. He was talking as an investigator.
A researcher who later investigated the case, called Dr. Matthew Alford, eventually uncovered what Gary had found, and it's really dark.
The dictator of Panama, Manuel Noriega, made secret recordings in wired rooms of senior US officials having sex with underage prostitutes.
What the hell? They was on that Jeffrey Epstein shit. That's why he got silenced. But it's always, man, all roads lead. Nah, I ain't gonna say all roads. But a lot of these niggas is with them. A lot of these niggas is on the same team. I've been saying that since 2019, 2020, back when they deleted the spiritual channel. You feel what I'm saying? Me and Solomonati been telling y'all this, bro. So that's why he got lock him up. I'm saying, bro. Ass up. Dude. So the reason why bro got disappeared, silenced, is because he exposing what these niggas really doing. Nigga fucking little GTA characters. What's wrong with these niggas, bro? You can go find some bad shit your age. Come on, bro. What are we doing? I mean, what are they doing? Because, you know what I'm saying? Motionmade don't condone.
One British newspaper.
I thought this nigga was gonna say nigga, bro. One British nigga. Too much work. Bro, when you got paid, they're going. I don't understand why they're going for the freaking little GTA characters, bro. Niggas just, bro, weirdos.
US officials having sex with underage prostitutes, male and female. One British newspaper commented on this, and the story was then buried. And the guy who wrote it got shot by an anonymous sniper.
Gary planned to put that
you
in
know why, nigga. You know why. You expose them boys, they coming for your ass. Anything past 6 dinner, nah, for real, bro.
Hollywood film. He was driving home through the desert, and then that was the last anyone heard from him.
Bro, he said, I'll see you later. I never heard from him again.
They took that boy off the map.
Simply vanished into thin air.
There was a massive search, foot patrols, helicopters, $100,000 reward, but 0 leads and no witnesses. He was missing for 374 days.
Damn.
But then his Ford Explorer was found beneath 15 feet of muddy water at the bottom of the California aqueduct, despite the aqueduct having been searched extensively. His laptop containing the script was missing, his gun was missing, and his hands were missing.
And y'all think that's just, he just disappeared. He just drove off the road. No, nigga. They got to that nigga. That's what happened.
Why were his hands?
He must have tripped in a hole.
Cut off.
Listen, the man had his fingers removed. Why? Why?
In my own mind, feel that there is crime here. I do not feel that my husband drove off of this bridge.
Exactly.
Within a week of his disappearance, agents from the FBI, CIA, NSA, and DOD arrived at the family home. After an official went into his office, his computer was wiped. And here's an unlikely connection to meet the parents in other films years later. It was Chase Brandon, the CIA's entertainment industry liaison officer, who was among those at the scene. When Alfred started digging into the case years later, he received a warning to stop what he was doing and leave well alone.
Damn.
You know, of course, you've received an informal or semi-formal warning.
They told that boy you gonna get smoked
from a CIA and DOD contractor who said to you, back off the CIA, you're going too far with this now. These people can and will ruin your life and come knocking on mine and your doors.
A former White House official from the Reagan and George Bush administrations confirmed that DeVore harbored a deep-rooted relationship with the agency and considered the case as the hallmarks of a cover-up. The CIA declined to comment on the entire situation, and the case officially remains open. So that's the other side of the coin. What potentially happens when the CIA's veto isn't obeyed? We don't really know the truth of what happened, but it does show you that you shouldn't mess around with topics not sanctioned by the agency. As for the impacts this all has on society,
that's crazy, bro.
Theo and Joe Rogan were very perceptive about how it can change public perception.
So in World War I, one of the problems that they had was people didn't want to be over there killing people.
Yeah.
And so people were shooting, but they weren't shooting at the actual enemy. And so then they realized, well, we've got to do something about
Friendly
that.
fire.
So after that, they started creating all these really patriotic war movies where the guys are heroes, they go over and they shoot all the bad guys, and then they're awesome. So then the next group of people that go to war are all going to be indoctrinated with these films.
John Kiriakou thinks that nowhere has that indoctrination been more effective or more dangerous than in warming the population up to the idea of torture.
One thing that bothers me the most is when
the hell is that?
Hollywood perpetuates the myth that torture prevented acts of terrorism or disrupted acts of terrorism. And to me, that myth is dangerous in that it affects public opinion. You can put whatever euphemism you want on it. You can call it enhanced interrogation. I don't care what you call it. What we did to some of those people was just illegal.
Kiriakou would know. He's the only CIA officer who ever went to prison over the torture program.
I objected to the CIA's use of so-called enhanced interrogation techniques, which I believe to be torture. And I went public with that information in December of 2007.
The media is a huge influence, not facts. They say it's a stage, bro.
Somebody to come out and say something, and nobody said anything. As a result, I was prosecuted and served 30 months in prison. But I'm glad I did. Somebody had to do it.
This is especially true in the film Zero Dark 30, which is about capturing Osama bin Laden. John Kiriakou thinks it's the strongest example of making the CIA look clean from every angle.
Zero Dark 30. So Zero Dark 30, I think, is the most egregious example of CIA interference in Hollywood.
The CIA gave the filmmakers classified briefings over a classified mock-up of the bin Laden compound. The film essentially pushed that the torture program is what led them to bin Laden. Kiriakou says that's a complete lie.
This was a film that the CIA made a policy decision on that it was going to cooperate fully, to the point where senior CIA officers gave them inappropriately classified briefings over a classified mock-up of the bin Laden compound. Okay, that's chargeable under the Espionage Act. The CIA
okay, that's against the law. I was just gonna say, if it's just like a mock-up of dude's crib, like, is that like crazy for the set? Or I'm not really, you know what I'm saying, but I guess it's against some type of law. That's what he's saying.
Why? Because it made the CIA look good.
In real life, intelligence work is edgy, gruesome, and morally ambiguous. Mainstream TV and cinema don't need to be accurate. They just need to feel right and not leave the audience with too many lingering questions or ambiguity. They pick up on this exact point in the podcast.
Even though they are torturing people. Now, entire population is so kind of almost like brainwashed into, but they are good guys, so torture is okay,
right,
as long as good guys are doing it.
Well, that was the narrative.
And they've got so desensitized towards doing bad shit, and if it's the CIA or if it's Tom Cruise or if it's like Mission Impossible and they're doing bad shit and they're torturing people, that's okay. Like now the message is that's okay, you don't worry about it.
So desensitization and controlling the narrative is central to this whole strategy. But there are deeper layers than promoting and suppressing films. The CIA's venture capital arm In-Q-Tel, literally named after Q from James Bond, has been funding tech companies since 1999. Google bought an In-Q-Tel funded mapping startup called Keyhole that became Google Earth. What do you think? In-Q-Tel and Google...
I mean, so far, fuck this damn ass. Bro, somebody give bro a sub, because I'm not gonna lie, I can't afford that shit. You know what I'm saying? But honestly, bro, what I think about this shit, bro, it's fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Like, simply as that. But guess what, though? It already done happened, so I can't do shit about it. You feel what I'm saying? I'm just a streamer. Don't want no smoke. Don't want no black trucks. You already know the spill.
Google then jointly invested in a company that builds predictive analytics by mining web data. Palantir was one of their earliest investments. The CIA had established an entire directorate of digital innovation specifically to engage Silicon Valley. So it's all linked together and practically operates in plain sight. Theo Von told Green a story about bumping into a construction worker at Century City Mall in LA.
Yo, what's up? Wow. So I start talking to him, and he's like, dude, guess what we're building? I'm like, I don't know. You know, I thought maybe it could have been like a Hardee's or something. He's like, we're building like a 20-story building, and 10 floors of it are the CIA, and the other 10 floors are a management company, Hollywood Management.
Theo was mixing up the CIA and CAA, Creative Artists Agency.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like, even if he said just this little spill, wouldn't they get on that ass? I would think they would get on that ass because you just leaked the location. I wouldn't even have said that. I'm not gonna lie. Nigga like me, but hell no, I ain't see shit. Hell no.
Hollywood's most powerful talent firm, but Green made it sound like the real thing was even worse.
And you go to that building, and they call it like the Death Star. There are like, you know, politicians who are being represented by CAA.
Yeah, we're
athletes, tech bros, influencers. It's
influencers. Look, Jaymotionmade was not there, so calm down. Jaymotionmade was not there.
Athletes, tech bros, influencers. It's pretty frightening though when you go inside. It's almost like Scientology, Hollywood's version of Scientology.
He's describing high-level ongoing talks at the intersection of the media, government, and big tech, all in a building lovingly called the Death Star. So you can now see how this whole influence campaign is far bigger than cutting lines in Marvel movies. It relies on cross-collaboration between multiple arms of state and private power, and the product hasn't stopped at the cinema. It's been actively following the audience, which means you, wherever you go, including online.
Do you think the CIA have a strategy for podcasters and for podcasting?
I think yes, now they do. It took them a little while to get current, but just like they over time developed a strategy with Hollywood? Sure, they're developing a strategy with podcasters.
This strategy is consolidating as we speak, which will only make it easier for agencies like the CIA to wield greater control over the narratives. Larry Ellison, whose company Oracle now hosts TikTok US algorithm and controls its content moderation, just bought Paramount through his son David. And
oh hell no, boy. Basically what the nigga just said is the CIA is now controlling or has input on the podcast. And then before you know it, them niggas gonna try to get in control of the streams. But Jaymotionmade, you know what I'm saying, don't got nothing to do with that. Because listen though, you know what I'm saying, I'll just be on here, I'll just be on here doing my thing, man. CIA, don't come knocking on my door.
If their bid for Warner Bros. And Discovery goes through, you can add CNN, HBO, Warner Brothers, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, MTV, Comedy Central, Discovery, TLC, TBS, and TNT to that.
Damn, but they got everything. Yo, Jay, we didn't. No, we did not. No, we did not. No, we did not. I ain't playing shit, nigga.
List.
Relax.
An internal memo obtained by NPR confirmed the Ellison-led entity will control what's allowed and what's not on the platform. Bernie Sanders called it oligarchy. And Oracle, which sits underneath all of this, has held government contracts with the CIA and the Department of Defense for decades. Whatever you call it, the media pipeline is now shorter than it's ever been. And in fewer hands. There's a through line from Donald Duck selling war bonds to Captain Marvel. Selling Air Force recruitment to Google Earth, tracking your location has never been broken. The methods have evolved: direct propaganda, covert funding, script consultations, structural incentives.
Half of this shit I feel like ain't no secret though, bro. Half of this shit I feel like is literally like in plain sight. It's obvious that the CIA, government, whoever the fuck, is monitoring whatever the fuck we doing. I wouldn't be surprised if these niggas is looking at me through this camera right now. You feel what I'm saying? Make sure y'all boys come to twitch.tv/Jaymotionmade. Drop some millions and billions on these subs, nigga. How about that? Since y'all niggas want to look at me through the camera and shit.
My whole person, my whole do what she wanted to do. I'ma fuck that bitch in the back of the coupe. Ain't going outside, can't fuck with these dudes. Got a bag on me, put a bag on you. Ain't Glock in the back of the spot, holding the Glock. Ain't get fucked by dudes. Look at these bags.